Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes, give or take. 2 hosts, a guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you feeling?
I feel terrible. Thank you for asking. You know, I've been sick for very, very sick. Here's my water and my straw.
You should have a hot toddy.
This is all I can do tonight.
Yeah.
I couldn't do hair. I did a little bit of the bags under my eyes are as black as can be, so they're covered up. But
okay,
I'm going to try to make it to the end of the show. We'll see. We'll see, because I'm actually very excited about our guest, and so
yeah, she's great.
She's great. How are you?
I'm okay. And I just, I'm doing an experiment tonight. I have my phone here, and I'm simulcasting on my Substack thing to get people to come over.
Oh, that's exciting. Hi, Substack people.
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear you.
Normally not sick. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You don't look any worse for wear.
Oh God.
You know, it's
oh man. I mean, there is a crud going around, and so I have it. I feel better than I did yesterday. And I'll go to bed right after this. It's no big deal. How was your week? Tell me how your week was.
My week was fine. I can't even remember a thing I did all week. And I watched last weekend I just watched the first 3 Andors. Right. I did that. And there's been basketball on, and I recorded a podcast that was going to drop today. That's coming out on Tuesday, which is cool. Otherwise, I just try to take walks and enjoy the sunshine.
I know it is beautiful out. It's gorgeous. Well, that's good. Oh, we'll touch on Andor a little bit. Something very special.
I only saw the first 4 now, so no spoilers.
Okay, I'll try not to spoil it. I think just a meta conversation about what it's accomplishing and what it's showing us. I'm loving it. I really am. So that's good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
So we're going to talk about this later, but the Mark Zuckerberg video where he says, just in case people miss it, where he says in an interview that most men have 3 friends, but they have a need for 15, and how his AI is going to create, I guess, an additional 12 friends.
Yeah,
is the most ridiculous and also the saddest thing. But it launched some great memes on Blue Sky where people were like, "Here's me and my 3 friends," and they just sent out, like the picture of Superman 2, where like it's Zod and the 2. And the best one was, I think Popat did it. It was just from Lebowski, and it's the dude and Walter with the coffee grounds with the guy's, remains in it, with Johnny's remains.
With Buscemi.
It was quite good. So, I don't know. And there's a lot that's left unsaid. Like, is it, what is a friend? What about if does an acquaintance count? Like, is there a percentage? Is there a spectrum of friend?
I've got a whole thing.
275% friends equals 3 friends. Like, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how this works.
And a friend and a half, you mean?
Yeah. I don't know how any of this works. I don't know what the math is like. It's very strange. Anyway, we'll talk about this later. I wanted to flag it up front because it's just so funny to me. So
I can't.
So funny.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I do. I have actually some things to say.
I know. I can't wait to hear it. Okay.
Well, should we get into it? Let's get into it because I want to.
We got to get into it. We got to go.
Oh, that means I have to set a clock. Oh, here we go. My brain. If I start coughing, I'll just mute. But I think I'm okay. All right. What is this? You wrote a great piece. I retweeted it. I hope everybody can take the time to read it. And you apologize for the length of your Marco piece, but I don't think you should apologize, And I can't believe, I know there's still stuff you didn't even get to. So anyway.
It's crazy. You asked me what I did this week because I went into a Marco Rubio deep dive.
Oh, God.
And
I'm so sorry.
And then I felt very dirty after. So then I took a foam bath and then I felt better. No, that's a foam party joke, which I did not know about these foam parties. We'll get to that. Anyway, so I wrote this piece, and the idea is that it's Rubio in reverse, and I start with now and I go back in time. right? So it's lots of little clips of things basically going back, and we can see how Rubio has changed and become the monster that he is today. So I think it's sometimes not for everybody. That's an effective technique to make my point without having to editorialize too much. And in these pieces, I try to not, do that, although it's hard to not say that I hate his guts. But there's three things I want to talk about now that are just highlight things that I wrote about and editorialize them a little. I've been saying on social media that Marco Rubio is a Nazi. As you know, we did the song 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
People were giving me pushback. Oh, he's not really a Nazi. And it's like, no, yeah, I look, he's in El Salvador creating like a concentration camp in another country. That once people start dying at it is a death camp. Like, that's pretty Nazi. There's lots of anti-immigrant hatred where he blames the immigrants for all this kind of stuff. And then today, he's literally supporting the German Nazi Party.
I mean, I saw that.
He is, if you're like in a room with Nazis and you're doing their bidding, you are a Nazi. Whether you realize it or not, you're a Nazi. So he is absolutely a Nazi and is behaving like one. And it's kind of contemptible, and a little bit chilling and surprising. So yeah. That's the first piece. The second piece is I just want to highlight his disgusting hypocrisy. Okay. As we all know, because we've heard his story a gazillion times, his parents are from Cuba. They came here in 1954, or 1956, not 1959 after Castro came, before, even though he tries to fudge that to make it seem like, his parents were anti-Castro people. That's not the case. So his parents, his older brother, Mario, okay, his brother-in-law, who's married to his older sister, Barbara, all of them born in Cuba, come to the United States. So I don't know, what's the word when someone is born in another country and then comes to live in the United States? What's the word?
And seeking asylum, by the way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think immigrant is the word I'm looking for. Now, also, his wife's parents are born in Venezuela. And that's one of the countries he's going after. That's one of the countries on the shit list. So he's basically, the policies that he's doing are hurting people like his parents, like his brother, like his brother-in-law, and like his in-laws. And what it reminds me of is the cold-bloodedness of Jared Kushner during the pandemic, during that whole blue state thing, saying, yeah, it's okay. We'll let it's okay if COVID, happens in the blue states, even though he's from New Jersey. His parents live in New Jersey. He lives in New York. His brother lives in California. And those are the three states that were going to be affected. So this is like really, really cold-blooded shit. And who do the Trumpies not want to come? What kind of immigrant do they not want to come? Criminals. They don't want criminals. They don't want violent criminals. Well, I did not know this. His brother-in-law, whose name is Orlando Cecilia, was during the 80s the number two, the front man for this huge cocaine smuggling operation. And the guy who ran that operation was a very violent criminal. And he went to jail, or Marco's brother-in-law went to jail for a while, I think 12 to 13 years, for his complicity in the drug dealing operation, the money, all this kind of stuff. Now, he served his time. He did his time. I'm a big believer in, if you do your time and you're out, that's fine. I think felons should be, I think everybody should be allowed to vote. I don't care if you're in prison. I want every citizen to vote. So, of course, in Florida, he can't, but whatever. This is exactly the sort of person that Marco's State Department and all the Trump administration is going after, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just think about that. Like the hypocrisy of this guy. Just basically saying, I would screw over my own family, my own mother, in service of Donald Trump. Disgusting. Disgusting.
Oh, God.
We know he's a flip-flopper, but I had forgotten this. In 2012, 2013, I forget, around then, there was a big push to reform immigration policy, and Rubio was really, interested in doing that, and had come up with an idea that had bipartisan support and was good, and in fact passed the Senate, or passed the House and went to the Senate, because he was in the House then, right? Or no, it's the other way around. Whatever. He was then flip-flopped on it and pressured the Speaker of the House, Boehner, to not have it come to a vote. So he was lobbying against his own bill.
Yeah. But he also was on the Senate Intelligence Committee, right?
That too, yeah.
And signed off on everything that he went out and said the opposite of. I think we get hung up on. I'm sorry, did you have more?
No, that's it. Please.
Okay. I think we get hung up on projecting, like not getting where we actually are projecting ourselves into other people. Yeah. So for you, that would feel like hypocrisy. And for us, we're looking at hypocrisy. But for Marco, and I'm sure for Jared, it's, oh, well, I don't mean, no, my people will be fine. Jared already knew for his family, even though his family and friends and whatever, I'm sure he had more than 3, his 15 friends and his family all were going to be okay because he had control of the resources. So during the pandemic, their brains are different. It's a different brain. It's a different, more core of a different soul, right? Because there's not like thinking of himself or his own family in terms of Marco as being part of the thing that he's trying to accomplish. Like it's not there's some kind of compartmentalization that those brains can do, to where it doesn't like, wait a minute, my mother, I came from Cuba, that's not a factor at all. That's my timer going off. I turn it down because I know people don't like it. I have to still switch it. So I think even for Jared, it would never occur to him, wait a minute, I'm from these states. Why would I attack states where, that are communities that my family's in and my friends are? They don't see themselves as a part of any of that, or their family as a part of any of that. They see themselves and their family as part of something else. And we're all just, in the crosshairs. So you and I would think that way. And so hypocrisy seems that it is a totally appropriate name to give all of this. It is what's happening. It just, there's some part of it. It's not even like he drank the Kool-Aid, or he's such a loyalist, or he's so subservient. It's just a different type of person. It just is.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good segue into the next segment.
I think it is a good segue. Let me put the timer on. Because I don't want to go over on this, because I'm kind of like I'm just having a reaction, and it's not something I've thought through as thoroughly as I would hope to in my fog of flu. But, I was watching this film. It's kind of like a documentary, but it has a narrative element to it. There's a device of using a character actor to sort of guide folks through this broader landscape. It's called 2073. And I was just happened upon it yesterday when I was so sick. And it was like, oh, wait a minute, we're going back. And so we're following this character in this year 2073, a woman who doesn't speak anymore because a sort of unthinkable has happened. Some big event has happened, whether it was a nuclear strike or a pandemic or something wiped out the world's order, and people are just left on their own, while there's also still this very rarefied elite group sector of society that has all of the resources and all the control. And there's like floods everywhere, and so you have the division is complete. You're either in this rarefied air set with Marco Rubio and Jared Kushner, or you're like us, and if you're still alive or you haven't been disappeared somewhere, digging through trash and eating bugs to survive, right? With the whole thing is falling apart. And what the film does is it goes back to sort of say, every time, we have a narrative voice of the woman we're following in the year 2073, and she's sort of walking the audience through how we got there. And then when you go back, and it's documentary footage, so you get to see, basically it goes back to like the financial crash of 2008's in there a little bit, but it's most of the stuff that we've lived through since like 2010, 2015 up until today, and touching on things like health getting torn apart, right? Public health, the gulags, what you were pointing out, like, these prisons being formed, and showing the Uyghurs and how that happened, showing how Facebook was part of this genocide in Myanmar. And it starts to consolidate everything around these technocrats, right? And ending on Peter Thiel, and getting into Peter Thiel's vision that this is sort of the manifest vision that he has. Well, this is what it looks like, right? And it just struck me, I was just watching this going, why it's like all of humanity accepting one goober's version of the world that we live in now and the future we're living into. Like, it's just this guy's, and Mark Zuckerberg is no different. And I'm sorry, Elon Musk is no different. And Peter Thiel is sort of like the penultimate of these guys, right? These are the kids that ate their boogers. They're the booger boys. I'm sorry. And it's what they are. They're the social, we knew, it's not that they were social outcasts. It's not that they were just awkward, boys or girls that, like, I very sensitive to all of that, and to the bullying and all of that. We've got nothing but neurodiversity in my family, like going off the charts in every direction possible. It's not that, right? Because there's a nurturing element, there's nature, and these men came in a very specific kind of nature. I would venture in looking at, just my opinion, I can't diagnose anybody, but I see a lot of sociopathy going on there with folks like Peter Thiel, right? And that vision he has for what reality is, and what existence is, and what, you get all the way down to like Mark Zuckerberg saying, well, this is what a friend is. How are you know what a friend is? Because you're staring at data, and why are we accepting Mark Zuckerberg's definition of intimacy? Somebody who's so confused about just friendship that he's creating a metaverse to manufacture AI friends. Because he's decided, well, men need 3 friends. They have 3 friends, but they need 15. Why? Because you have control over such a massive amount of data that this is your filter for what that data is communicating. I bet I could look at the same data set and see a very different story. These are men who were never socially connected, and through their nature, and then had zero nurturing or reverse nurturing, right? Elon Musk, the only woman that appears that he can form a long-term relationship and is his mother, and it's weird and it's sexual and it's crazy. Like, these are the people that, as a society, if we were back, and they always talk about, civilization has never had these things for millions of years. Why are we starting it now? It's like, well, if you want to go back to the big origins of mankind, right? I guarantee you would have come out of somebody's womb. There would have been a little caveman society reaction to you. And instead of just making you cry at a cafeteria table because you got socially rejected from the girl who didn't want your creepiness because you're eating your boogers, right? the cavemen would just thrown you out for the saber-toothed tiger to take care of, right? Get rid of that one. So there's no these are the people, these are the men. Peter Thiel, we are just going to accept this guy's understanding of society and say, well, that must be where the future we're headed towards. I'm having a real reaction that there's any power given to those points of view on any level simply because they've amassed massive amounts of data and figured out how to commercialize it. So we handed that data over. We all handed our own data over on the apps and the things that they provided. Our government, along with many other governments, were naive and idiotic to the degree of allowing these men to have such a hook into what the government's source of knowledge about all of us as individual citizens and the collective in terms of our demographics, from our health data now to everything. And just because these guys seemed like they were geniuses because they were doing this weird thing with apps and internet and data, and it's also confusing. I don't even know how an email works, right? So they must know. No, they don't know. They don't know. They know their own. All Peter Thiel, his whole thing is get rid of government completely. Everything should be privatized and let those with expertise run everything. Okay, well, that's his language around it. But what that is in reality is the complete dismantling of our own ability to govern ourselves and handing it over to private corporations and their boards of directors for stock value. To say that there's humanity in that, or that somehow is the correct way to govern human beings, and that's where expertise comes from, is a bunch of rich guys sitting on a board, but even they don't have a say because the majority of the shares are still owned by the Booger boys. The Booger boys own everything. Their idea of expertise is a mirror. Or the number one agenda wouldn't have been to completely dismantle all federal employees, the entire all the brains within the National Institutes of Health. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on.
And we will.
And getting rid of higher education, trying to dismantle all expertise so that it's only them controlling everything. And somehow that's a philosophy that we're all supposed to just subscribe to because we think they're smarter? No, they're not smarter. They've just amassed a tremendous amount of wealth and are gazing into their own navel and coming back out to the world and saying, this is the way it has to be. And we've got to reject it wholesale. We have to reject these men. Palantir is a public company. Tank it.
Yeah.
Tank it.
Like we tank Tesla, right? Yeah.
Like we tank Tesla. Keep tanking this.
Mm-hmm.
I love Facebook Marketplace. Maybe I got to give that up. Tank these men. There's only really 4 of them that we should really put our sights on and tank. And then we've got control back of our own destiny.
4 of them? You mean they each have 3 friends? That's so cute.
Oh my God, there's 3 friends. Anyway.
Okay. That ties into the media for this week, actually.
It does?
Yeah, it does. I had forgotten about this one. Chunk is on vacation this week. So
Chunk is, and I'm sick. Yeah.
So here we go. Zuckerberg at Facebook, Durav at Telegram, Dorsey, Guccifer, and Peter Thiel, Cambridge Analytica, and all that MAGA spam, Roger Stone, Assange, and Stop the Steal. There's Parler, Gab, Truth Social, the libs of TikTok, Tucker platforms Putin's toxic lies. There's Fox News for the boomers, and for us, the Laura Loomers. In darkness is where democracy dies. Free speech is the tech bro word for Nazi megaphones. Kremlin is a white supremacy. And all the racist, sexist content Elon Musk condones. He throttles big accounts who don't agree. Free speech for him means no free speech for me. Yeah, I forgot that we even did that one. Just totally forgot
about that completely.
Me too. Okay, we've kept our guest waiting long enough, and she is pressed for time. We want to get her on here. Yeah. She's an investigative journalist. She's the author of the book The Bottle of Lies and the book Dangerous Doses, and she's a special correspondent at Vanity Fair. Katherine Eban, welcome to
Katherine Eban.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're thrilled to have you.
Yes. Now I know you're pressed for time, so you've been on what I would call the medical beat for a while now. And you've written a series of articles going back to but you can see tracing back. Oh my God, RFK is coming. Oh my God, I think they're really going to do this. Oh my God, RFK has these terrible things he's going to do. And we've now into the point where RFK is doing the terrible things. So you had a great piece that's called "The Expert Who Kept Eye Drops from Blinding You Was Fired Yesterday." So that cheered me up. So tell everybody what's going on with this guy. I had a bunch of questions, and then you listed things that I didn't even write down. So I will give you the floor to tell us what we should worry about or be paying attention to.
Well, there is a whole lot to worry about, unfortunately. We are in the middle of basically an unprecedented science experiment, which is, what happens when you let a vaccine skeptic, which is charitable, ascend to the highest healthcare post in the country. He's in charge. His Maha coalition, is running the roost, and their views range everything from sort of the reasonable sounding, which is, let's get food dye out of Fruit Loops, to, let's dismantle the vaccine industrial complex and blow up the childhood vaccination schedule under the banner of medical freedom. And, what we've seen out of the gate is the mass firing of government health employees, so much so that, there are just whole positions and functions that have been zeroed out. Who needs lead remediation for kids and, milk safety screening. Now, they have said they're not going to cut any inspectors, any food or drug inspectors. But the problem is they've cut everybody around those people, So do you want your expert investigator for the FDA preparing to go visit that aseptic manufacturing plant in India, studying past violations from the plant, trying to figure out what employees to talk to? Or do you want them spending their time on Expedia looking for a plane ticket and, at a government rate? We are making it so impossible for the remaining government employees to do their critical jobs. Now, I also wrote a story, Greg and Stephanie, about the guy who's heading up now food safety at the FDA. And his qualification is that he was Don Jr.'s hunting buddy. And there's a picture of them both holding up, 2 dead turkeys. So one reader was like, which ones are the turkeys? It was so, we're just looking at an experiment for which there is no precedent. I was struck by the fact that Mark Carney, who, won in Canada, triumphed in Canada.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Just announced, hey, Canada is going to expand free dental care for its citizens. And I'm like, okay, they're doing that. And what are we doing? We're cutting fluoride from the drinking water, which is like fluoride in the drinking water has been one of the great public health innovations. So
Texas is coming for toothpaste. I just read before the show. They don't want fluoride in the toothpaste in Texas. So.
Right. Well, they have good thing that they're on to that. They have also got another little minor health issue, which is there is this massive measles outbreak in Texas and everywhere else. They're worried about the toothpaste, but I think they need to be more worried about measles. Now, there have been so many cuts to funding for vaccination. It's not just the federal government. It's the money from the federal government that trickled down to the states, so that Texas has had to cancel a lot of its stations where they did vaccinations. You've got a measles outbreak raging out of control. Now, RFK Jr. did give, under a lot of pressure, did give a sort of tepid endorsement to the MMR vaccine, which is the long-studied, highly effective, proven to be safe vaccines for measles, mumps, and rubella. He was under a lot of pressure. Like in a normal universe, we'd be running mass vaccination campaigns in Texas and elsewhere where we saw measles.
Right.
Under a lot of pressure, he gave a tepid endorsement to the vaccines, and then pivoted to say cod liver oil and vitamin A is super great. There are these terrific healers in Texas who have been using them to great effect. What happened? There are kids showing up in Texas ERs with vitamin A poisoning.
Yeah.
The toxicity, right? I mean, he just the other day, was it yesterday? I lose track of time because every day is like a year.
Yep.
He said that there was aborted fetal debris in the MMR vaccines.
Right.
I don't even know what that is, but it isn't in there. So,
it's just one garbage crank conspiracy. Today it was the chemtrails are real and we're going to study because it's a grand conspiracy, and the US is trying to get rid of toxic chemicals by putting it in jet fuel, and then it's coming down and raining on us and it's controlling our brains. And this is, it's Bigfoot is coming. Bigfoot's coming. It's just a crank. So what is your opinion about him, Katherine? I want to ask, is this, and maybe it doesn't matter, do you think there's why does he want to engage in all of this real mental illness? Is it his of just spewing these paranoid theories based on absolutely no science whatsoever? In fact, in contrary, have been disproven over and over again. And it just, he has to keep coming back to it. And it's what the hell is going on with this guy? What's happening?
Let's roll the tape backward a little and look at his past. So he was at Children's Health Defense, which is an organization that he built up. It was highly profitable for him. He made millions dissing vaccines. He built up a big coalition, and it's quite sad. So he built up a coalition of moms who were very certain that their children were vaccine injured. And, because they had sort of symptoms of autism, early, and you get vaccinated early, and they believed that their children were vaccine injured. So, for years, he had those moms who, and a lot of them were from the left, organic eating Berkeley moms. Who were his, coalition. Then fast forward to COVID, and this massive rebellion on the right against vaccine mandates, school closures, masking, right? And his message resonated, and these were a whole bunch of people who were trapped in their houses doing their own research, right? Now, some of these people, there's the growth of the medical freedom movement. Some of them think, okay, COVID-19 was not a real virus. The pandemic didn't actually occur. And this was just a sort of effort by the global elite to control us, right? So now, coming into the 2024 election, he's got those people. So he's got this left and this right coalition, right? And now he's like the dog that caught the car, because now he's in charge, and everybody who's going to die from not getting a vaccine, that's on him, essentially, right? I mean, he's in charge of American health. So what is he going to do? So now he's like alternately sowing doubt and giving tepid endorsement to the vaccines. And let me tell you, when he did that, when he gave tepid endorsement to the vaccines, he got massive blowback from the MAHA Alliance, his Make America Healthy Again coalition. So, a lot of people that I'm talking to in the sort of MAHA world see him as sort of stuck, right? He's got to run the place. He's supposed to be responsible. Now, look at somebody like Senator Bill Cassidy, doctor who built his medical career and his Senate career on promoting vaccination. He was promoting hepatitis B vaccination. His vote was pivotal to get RFK Jr.'s nomination out of committee. You could see watching this guy, he did not want to vote for him, right? So he extracts these assurances from RFK Jr. He's not going to blow up the childhood vaccination schedule. He's going to follow the science. He's going to support the vaccines. All he wants is good science. He just wants the best research, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Now.
So it gets Bill Cassidy's vote. So where are we at on that? Has RFK Jr., in terms of what he swore under oath in the Senate confirmation hearings, where are we at with how much of that has he broken?
It's a really good question. I mean, it is not looking great. There's a lot of stuff that he's doing which is sort of undermining of vaccines. So he just made this announcement, which was like, we want everybody to do their own research and make their own decisions. Okay, well, what kind of research are you going to do? Try going on Twitter and asking, like, are vaccines safe? I mean, or shall I say X? So, you've got a situation where everybody's doing their own research in an environment that is completely saturated with medical disinformation and anti-vax stuff.
Well, and saturated and an audience of people, especially in the vaccine skeptical or anti-vax, that truly doesn't understand science at all. It's very you have people doing their own research who don't know, right? Doing my own research, who don't understand what the principles of a scientific study even are, what it means when you have findings, what they don't understand how the mechanics of science.
Yeah.
So they can't measure something, a study, and all the research that they're doing. They're doing their own research, but they're doing their research about research, and they think that, well, I just don't like it, or that doesn't fit my narrative. Therefore, this thing over here does, and therefore, I've done research.
That's
look, like the great irony. It's
and some of these folks in the Maha world are extremely persuasive. I mean, you listen to these guys talk about,
like Joe Rogan.
The food supply is poison, and the seed oils are killing us, and the food dye is like death, and and I'm like, even and I'm like an absolute ardent skeptic for a living. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm like running and looking at my kids, like the ingredient list in her lemonade. So I'm like, it's super hard,
It's hard, and that's where that stuff has power, in that there's truths woven in throughout the disinformation and the grand conspiracies. And so that's what hooks people, and creates an inability to sort of discern. But again, if folks understood, when it comes to medical science, efficacy of vaccines, the process through which, a drug gets to market, any of those kinds of things, the role of the Food and Drug Administration in regulating, instead of collapsing, and the role of the National Institute of Health and the CDC and what that expertise is about, and how we do need that, because the drug companies they operate like big crime families.
I spent 10 years investigating pharmaceutical fraud and stuff that goes on in Indian and Chinese manufacturing plants. Yeah. The thing is, what people don't understand, like when they're saying, we got to shrink the government, it's so wasteful, it's full of fraud, waste, and abuse. And it was like, do you understand, like, you want to put something in your body that, like, no FDA inspector has checked out? Right. I mean, all these supplements that the Maha world loves, and it's like, they're all made in manufacturing plants that possibly have never been inspected by the FDA.
Correct.
The statements they make have not been vetted. I mean, you don't know what the hell you're getting.
Right. So, and now we've done away with consumer protections. So it's even worse. I just want to let everybody know, you're saying Maha, and if we have audience that doesn't know, that's Make America Healthy Again, which is RFK's slogan.
Yeah.
Stupid slogan. Now you have to go because it's 8:45, and I said that we would release you at 8:45. So is there any parting words that you want to share before we send you into the night?
Well, I am seriously concerned about the safety of our food supply, the safety of our drug supply, the integrity of our science. We are in for a rough ride, and I think people need to be careful what they wish for, because we're in a place where a lot of things can go wrong.
Oh boy. All right, Catherine, where can folks find you? Let's let everybody know where they can find you.
So on that positive note, KatherineEban.com is my website.
Great.
I'm on X at Katherine Eban. I'm also on Blue Sky, but I can't even remember my handle there. It's something
so
like,
there's many periods. It's
at Katherine Eban something. And I'm always happy to hear from people. You can email me, contact me through my website. And also you can check out all my articles on Vanity Fair. And here's what I would say, which is, you complain about a paywall, subscribe. We all need to subscribe.
Okay.
Support, as Timothy Snyder would say, support your institutions.
Amen. Those are good parting words. Katherine Eban, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Catherine. She's great.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay. And well, this has been my big fear, as you know. And what I keep coming back to of yes, Tulsi Gabbard was the most dangerous person because once you break the intelligence community like that, once you break that institution and corrupt it with a foreign operative, of our sort of big adversary at the time, and allow all of that product to be out. It's just consider it all out in the wild, and our national security is gone. I don't know that you can recover from that kind of corruption. I'm not sure. That's why, for me, she was much more dangerous than Kash Patel, because it's, it's the realm of secrecy that's just broken in a way that, we were calling for, like, end the secrecy with the stuff that we need to know and the public needs to know. But there's a reason it exists for national security, and to have that be corrupted and broken is terrible. The next most dangerous thing, and the thing that we're all facing, the existential threat to us, in my opinion, is and will continue to be RFK Jr. If we're going to condense it down to an individual, because, your health, you can't get safe food, or drugs.
And heaven help us if there's another pandemic,
Yeah.
Now people say, do your own research. My own research is I contact her, because she knows more about this stuff than anybody. I mean, she really does. Her book is all about, like, generic drugs in India. Very interesting stuff.
Say the name of her book.
Her book is called, there's two, but the one I'm talking about is called Bottle of Lies. And it's about, like, basically the generic drug industry and all this, stuff that happens with skirting around inspections and, stuff like that, which is now obviously going to get just much, much worse with this, horrible asshole RFK.
Yeah.
He looks like, somebody said in the comments, like one of the hot dogs under the heat lamp. That's what his face looks like.
Yeah.
What it struck me, like, there are people who actually listen to this guy, with this vitamin A poisoning. This is a guy who looks as unhealthy as anyone I've ever seen, and sounds like unhealthy because he talks like that. Right. You're going to listen to that guy? That's the research you're going to do?
We're back to this.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
The most disturbed, dysfunctional, pathological, dangerous men, and put them in charge. It's really stunning. Or accept their vision or version of reality. Like, his version of reality is so disturbed.
Yeah.
To allow him to lead is it's an act of destruction. It's a violent act against the United States by yet another one by Donald Trump. That's all we get from him.
Yeah.
It's just these destructive acts. That is an intent to harm, if ever there were an intent to harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's essentially radioactive,
Yeah.
So
that's what he looks like, a radioactive hot dog.
He does. He actually looks like a Simpsons character. He has got the same, Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put the timer back
put the timer on. We're back to
we're kind of pulling all this together with this next segment. So, my mom, who's great, she comes in and she's having a big thought. I'm like, oh.
I like when she has big thoughts.
I love when she has big thoughts. It's always so great. And she was just sort of without, she was talking, I'm like, oh, like Project 2025, because she was articulating all of these things that are masquerading as something else, right? Like RFK Jr. and health, and attack on Harvard and the expertise there, and our education and our institutions, and the gulags getting set up, and let's round up folks. She was reminded that, oh yeah, they had that app that Joe Biden, in terms of the immigrants, what we're doing now, and with our own people, right, our own citizens. Of deporting. You don't deport your own citizens. You kidnap and rendition them, exiling them away without due process into some foreign gulag, one of the worst on the planet, and with a payment to the gulag. Here, we'll pay you. You house our. We're going to disappear our people, and we're going to pay you to do it. the way they're finding folks that were at least asylum seekers and others is through that app that came out with the Joe Biden administration of like, this is if you're an asylum seeker, sign up for this app and it'll take you through the process to legally stay here. Well, the controls of all of that now are with the Trump administration, and they are, there you go. There's your list of people to go find and round up and send away. And I know folks are like, well, what could the Dems do? Well, maybe having a little bit, maybe read Project 2025 instead of just trying to use it to get votes and scare people into voting you back into office when it was convenient and then forget about it. When, especially during that transition period, why they didn't secure those individuals and let them know, look, this is about to fall into the hands of the people who orchestrated, put down in 900 pages how they're going to use this kind of thing to round you up. And oh my God. So that, everything, all of it, if you look at all of the actions that we're seeing put into place, it's all about, culling the herd, right?
Yeah.
This stuff, especially if Medicaid is gone, that's going to be, and Social Security going after that, that's the most vulnerable, right? And the fact that nursing homes and hospitals and so many are supported by that program, Medicaid, that's going to be about, you're going to have all those people out on the street that are relying on Medicaid to provide for them to have the continual care that they need in a facility, and a health facility. That'll take about 1 to 3 years of folks. Will have emergency rooms swamped, because I'll tell you what folks do know how to do that are facing either having to go into skilled nursing or be in skilled nursing and something's wrong. They know how to dial 911. So that's what they do. I know this. I know this for a fact. They get into, even if they're just in a panic about, oh my God, I don't understand the world right now, they'll dial 911, right? So all of our emergency rooms will be overrun with emergency health for seniors and for those who are disabled and need skilled care. And that'll crash that system. So that's a big thing that's coming for us that's actually going to crash. And then all those people will perish. They will perish. They can't survive without the kind of care that we've set an entire society and structured our whole fucking system, right? And you don't, there's nothing to replace it. Again, it's like the tariffs. It's like, well, there's nothing to replace that manufacturing, so you're just going to hurt people and do mass harm to the economy, mass harm to individuals, mass harm to homes, to families, to US citizens, because you're enacting all of this stuff, right? Or ripping things away, or putting a huge tariff on forcing people to pay huge amounts of money that they don't have for a product that they need for their business, in order for the business to function, or as a consumer, a direct consumer, without anything to replace it. So that's a big crash that's coming. Just a big crash on all those fronts that will kill people or end people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
All to sort of marshal all the resources around, the people that Peter Thiel believes are worthy of them.
Yeah.
So that sounds like to me, the final solution. Yeah.
Now, I do have to push back on one thing. You said the Democrat in leadership weren't doing anything. And I don't know if you're aware, but Chuck Schumer wrote a very strongly worded letter. Very strongly worded. Not just strongly, very strongly.
Probably why I have the flu.
Can you fucking believe he said that? Like, he said that and wasn't joking. Like, that's something I would say as a joke. And he said it like the satire has moved around and become the thing. Like, we're through the singularity.
We got to get rid of him. We have to get rid of him.
No, he must go. And that's just ridiculous. But now, in all seriousness, to your point, I mean, we did stuff about Project 2025. There's a lot in there, and it's not all, but there is a coherent worldview that they're trying to express. And it's a place where the Thiels and Musks and the tech bro, the Booger crew,
the Booger boys, battalion, Curtis Yarvin. Yeah.
Where that overlaps with the Leonard Leo radical Catholics, which overlaps with the evangelical Christian nationalist kind of thing. And what you get is a society, and this is what they want, where you have white, straight men who are Christians in charge of everything. And, the religion to be not separated from church, from the state, but, soldered together in a way that it can't be broken apart.
Yep. And women are relegated to wombs or sex toys. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. No abortion, no birth control, no contraception, because women are only here to reproduce, and really actually sex is just there to make babies, because it says that in one of those stupid books.
And do your trad wife thing. It's what I mean. They're this whole movement they're trying to make happen for women to just be in the home, just be mommy. Booger boys want their mommies back.
They do.
They want their mommies. Mommy used to do all my laundry. Mommy used to make food for me. Mommy used to do shopping. You didn't have to worry about any of those things, right, Booger boy? You didn't have to worry about any of that. Mommy took care of everything.
I think May Musk still takes care of everything for little Elon.
Yeah. So anyway,
so there's that. There's also the
so disturbing.
They don't like gay people at all.
That's right.
Almost irrational hatred of LGBT people.
Yeah.
Which requires probably actually not very much Freudian therapy to figure out why.
Yeah, not much analysis required.
They want to eradicate trans people.
Yes.
They don't think that that's a real thing, or that it's disgusting. And the financial stuff is basically designed to destroy the middle class. All of this manufacturing tariff bullshit. What does that mean? We're going to all have factory jobs now? That doesn't sound like fun to me. Neither me nor my 3 friends think that this is a good idea. And as we discussed with Katherine Eban, the death of expertise, getting rid of they want to like NASA. They're like firing NASA people. Like when we say someone is smart, we say, or the opposite. Well, I'm no rocket scientist, but they want to get those people out and put in like RFK Jr.'s brainworm, the whale beheader, and the war on higher education, which has taken another turn this week. Trump wants to predictably revoke Harvard's nonprofit status. That will not work, but it's still a thing that they're going to have to waste time and energy defending. So you put all this together and you see who the people are that they want around and who the people are that they don't want around. And the policies are designed to, as you say, cull the herd and get rid of the people that they don't want around. That's just what they're doing. It's, I think, pretty transparent. And, this is why
they wrote it down.
Yeah, they wrote it down. This is why, somebody like Rubio, I get more angry at.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Rubio is like Thiel or Musk. I don't think he has the same weirdo. I think it's a different motivation there. Yeah, I do. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what, if it's just power, if they could have something on him. I mean, they very well could. It's, not easy, not difficult to imagine, but I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he's got JD Vance backing him up with the embrace of the need to defend the literal German Nazi party.
Yeah. Yes.
So they're telling us over and over and over again who they are. I know every single talking head that is, in terms of like pro small d democracy forward, like Greg and I, has been saying all of that, has been saying, it sounds like we're saying the same things over and over again, but about these folks, and they're telling us who they are and all these catchphrases. But at what point is that going to saturate the consciousness of enough human beings that we do something about it?
Yeah, that's the trick.
Yeah, that this is a real threat. These people are a real threat. We cannot have them in leadership. let them. They could be citizens. They could be, you know,
They
whatever.
want to go to Mars. Let's send them there.
They can have their weird points of view. But to allow these folks that actually have crafted a final solution to then be in a position of power where they can enact it on us is I don't know what to call that. I don't. There's something really wrong. There's something really wrong. There just is. And I don't know.
It's just Nazi shit.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, it's.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Our buzzer went off. Let's get to our announcements. Do you have any announcements? Do we have any announcements? I can't see through the fog right now.
My announcement is you should take some cold medicine. I recommend NyQuil. I've done my own research, and I've concluded that the green NyQuil is the greatest stuff that ever was when you're sick.
God. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know how much longer it's going to be, so maybe I'll take some that came from not expired, but from a point in time where we had FDA inspectors.
Yeah, that's probably why.
That's probably it. I think just reminding everybody and you'll see it if you hit subscribe, like all those things. Join if you want to join the membership. But we're also offering, a show on Wednesday night with Lisa Graves and Nathan Smith called 5/8.5. That's
great
on
episode
this channel. It's a great episode this week. So go ahead and if you haven't subscribed, you just hit subscribe. It just allows you to get alerts and shorts and things and let you know when shows are coming to air. If you're not just following us, on Blue Sky or X or whatever, wherever we make the announcements. So, that would help everybody, and we would love to have you as a subscriber. So that's it. That's my announcement.
Yeah, I've got. Do I have any announcements? No, I don't have any. The audiobook's coming, but it's not ready yet. So
the audiobook's not ready yet.
All right, let's go
to
before you have to go to sleep. Let's get to.
Let's get to the good news. I'm so close to Canada.
You are. It's true.
I am. I could ride a horse over into Canada.
There's a cinematic moment right there.
Yeah, I could make
the Nazis are coming. LB's on the horse.
I'm on the horse. I got a racehorse, a champion racehorse.
One if by land.
Yeah, coming. Get out of the way. I did look. I looked at Ireland a little bit as well, which is also a lovely place to be an expat, apparently. But our neighbors are figuring it out. Boy, did they coalesce.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost as if Donald Trump was their sort of 9/11 moment of like, wait a minute, we don't have to be against one another. We don't have to be polarized. We can come together as Canadians. We've got an enemy. Really. It's crazy. Yeah. Crazy, but true.
Mark Carney seems like just almost manufactured in a lab as the perfect person for this moment. Like he's the opposite of Trump in almost every way. Because he's quote unquote normal. Like he's a centrist, seems like to be anyway. He's very well spoken. He's obviously a brilliant guy. He ran the central bank in Britain, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And he's not somebody that people are gonna be like, he's this left-wing, whatever. No. And he's not, he's just plain, this is, I'm telling it like it is. And I'm really smart and I know stuff and I'm telling you, this is how it is. And he's, he's the perfect foil for Trump. And he's actually coming to the White House next week, which is going to be very, very interesting. So he's coming to the White House to negotiate with this moron. Art of the deal, and all. My money is on the central banker, I think, rather than the guy that bankrupted the casino. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to say right now.
Yeah.
That's where my money is on. The other thing that's happening is that King Charles is coming to Canada to deliver when the new session of Parliament opens. He's going to deliver the speech, which the monarch has not come to Canada to do since I want to say 1977 when Queen Elizabeth did it.
Oh, wow.
And this is considered a fuck you to Trump.
Because
Trump wants Charles to go to the White House, and that's not happening. So, yeah, that's what I was reading. They didn't say fuck you, but they said they said it more euphemistically than that. But
Okay.
so there's trolling going on. There's negotiation, and he said we're not gonna be the 51st state. That's stupid anyway. And Canada's a member of NATO too. Like, it's not like they're there by themselves, So I really thought, 2 months ago even, that Polyev was going to win. I was sad about it.
Yeah, no,
I was really worried about it.
It really was a concern.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump was like, thought he could be cute with Justin Trudeau, and that, the Canadians wouldn't react to that. I mean, how do you get Canadians pissed off at you? It's crazy.
High sticking.
You have to, again, Booger Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a chemical thing. I'm telling you, it's a chemical thing. He's just, so, yeah.
Speaking of, we didn't talk about this. This isn't really a topic, but Trump has now decided that Veterans Day is not going to be Veterans Day anymore. It's going to be like World War I Victory Day, and May 8th, which is actually 5/8, is going to be World War II Victory Day, which it is in Russia. It's the war. We were still fighting the Japanese, So he thinks this is a good idea, and he's basically, I mean, how many more things does he have to do to genuflect before the Kremlin, whatever, before people start figuring this out?
Or it's just a troll to amuse. Like, it's like, we're going to be the most obvious Kremlin operatives on the planet. Like, and this, it's almost like it's a litmus test to how stupid and how susceptible Americans are to any of that garbage. So, God, I go back, my mom and I also talk about this a lot, of, the images that came out of Donald Trump with Lavrov and Kislyak when they came for their Oval Office visit. His persona, Donald's, how he was laughing, that laughter, we've not seen that.
Yep, never seen
ever again. I think people go and have things into the private and they see a little glimpse of it and they're like, oh my God, you're told that. It's so seared into both of our brains where it just like, anytime the thing is like, this is who he is. Those were his people. That's who he is. He was fully in bloom. He had a glow up. He was glown up in the moment where he had the spy master, literally Kislyak, at that time, the Kremlin spy master and the Kremlin's, secretary, Marco Rubio,
foreign minister,
foreign minister, and him yucking it up about our allies' intelligence product that we only have, and like passing it around and laughing and look at this fucking shit. Look at this shit I can get my hands on now. My God, can you believe that you got me in here? Like, if people saw that and still couldn't get what they were looking at, I don't know that there's any helping them. I don't know. But go Canada. We're with you. I hope that Canada knows how many Americans, the majority of Americans, I believe,
are absolutely
so on their side. And wish they would adopt us.
Yeah. Yep. It's I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the tariff stuff. Like, it's so done. The economy contracted in quarter one, and that doesn't even account for the tariffs. Tariffs haven't even gone into effect yet. So quarter two is also going to be a contraction. He's going to be this is a fucking financial nightmare. Even the money people are starting to get mad at him, which I think is probably realistically the only force powerful enough to actually make him leave would be the money, the rich people.
I don't think he'd leave, but Donald, but certainly it'll get people out in the streets. Yeah. And maybe get some bad press. He really doesn't have, he's not getting press for any of this.
Oh, he is. The New York Times did it. Even the Wall Street Journal is doing bad. The cover of the Wall Street Journal, all the because now it's the 100 days thing. You know, it's too late. They should have been doing this the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
You know, oh my God, it's 100 days. He's fucked up the whole country. Who could have thought? You know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's our timer.
It's our timer.
Listen, I think what the hope that comes from that Canada election is, I do also think a consolidation of our allies against us is a powerful force. So I want to encourage them. You know, I know the only thing that's going to work is our economic strikes. It's really, we're at a place for, you know, civil unrest is not the way. You know, it has to be nonviolent, and to withhold our money, especially if we can go after these technocrats first and really damage their wealth. And then, you know, the tariffs are going to do, basically the ports are, it's like there's a port strike because there's nothing coming into the ports, you know, and the stuff that comes in, no one's going to be able to afford. And fuck you, Jeff Bezos, for not telling consumers where they are paying, what the breakdown of the fees, right? So this is also, I think, another reason why to get rid of any kind of consumer protections, because there would have been laws in place, or laws we can enact or enforce, or maybe even write to sort of say a consumer has a right to know if you're charging X amount, but the product is that some of that is an actual government fee, a tax. You have to tell them what that is, what that breakdown is. And so, you know, fuck you, Jeff Bezos, for taking that away from consumers. We don't have to order from Amazon, everybody. You just don't. It takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of hard work to just shop locally and figure it out. And maybe do without some things, you know. That's a hell of a lot less of a sacrifice than the tsunami of pain that's coming our way if we don't stop these people.
Yeah, it's true. I wish he would just say that he's going to not do it and do it anyway. You know, like, is Trump paying attention? Is Trump looking at his Amazon bill? Like, it's just dumb.
Well, they weren't paying attention until somebody brought it up, and his Nazi Barbie spokesperson, right? He freaked out, and then he paid attention. He doesn't pay attention unless it's, you know, it gets any coverage.
Yeah.
So, which is why, you know, appropriate coverage of the things that are actually happening, the measles outbreaks. I just don't know how we're going to measure even that if we're kept, the hospital data is kept from us, right? And the death counts are kept from us. And so it's going to be up to, hopefully, these governors, the governors in the states doing the reporting. Texas is not going to, God only knows how bad it is there. We're never going to hear about it.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not.
Yeah.
Well, we made it to May. We made it through, you know, 4 months of this crap.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You know, I think that I want to thank everybody for watching and tuning in, and for watching this show, for watching the 5, 8 and a half on Wednesday, for subscribing and liking and sharing and all that good stuff. And I hope you feel better. You know,
I'm going to get through it.